Is World War III on the horizon? The Middle East has a boiling point for global conflict. I'm Renaldo McKenzie, the host and creator of the Neoliberal podcast, and just today we wrote an article as we reached a very pivotal point in history. The Middle East has reached a boiling point, and World War III seems imminent. And so we wrote an article today that's available in the Neoliberal journals and in the Neoliberal post at renaldocmckenzie.com and the neoliberal.com, and it's a very poignant point, and it's a news story or commentary that is relevant at this time, which is bordering almost prophetic, but it's not prophetic. It's if you are a human being, a rational human being who is able to analyze geopolitical issues and make assessments, then the conclusions, it's easy to make the conclusion that we are suggesting here at the Neoliberal podcast and at the Neoliberal Corporation. But welcome to the Neoliberal Round. I'm your host, Renaldo McKenzie, and today we're addressing one of the most urgent global issues facing us right now. It is the escalating conflict in the Middle East, which many experts are warning could lead us to the brink of World War III. Now, in the past few weeks, tensions between Israel and Hamas, Hezbollah, and Iran have escalated dramatically, pushing the region and the world closer to a point of no return. This situation is more than just a regional conflict. It has the potential to spiral into a global war involving the major powers of our time. Let me break down the latest developments. The conflict between Israel and Hamas is not new, but recent actions have brought the stakes to a whole new level. Following a series of missile attacks from Hamas, Israel responded with overwhelming force, striking targets in Gaza and killing over 2,000 people, most of them innocent civilians. But then Israel made a critical move during this conflict. It decided that it was going to assassinate a Hezbollah leader with deep ties to Iran in Lebanon. Now, this was not just another retaliatory strike. It was a move that pulled Hezbollah directly into the conflict. And once Hezbollah is involved, Iran is going to follow. And so in response to the assassination, Iran did what many feared. It launched over 200 ballistic missiles toward Israel. Although US and Israel defense systems managed to intercept the majority of these missiles, and of course they were largely prepared for them, some still managed to hit key Israeli military bases because they were not expecting the size they weren't expecting over 200, probably 100 or 50. So this marks a significant escalation because Iran is now directly involved in a conflict that could drag the entire Middle East into chaos. And now Israel has moved along the Lebanon border. Of course, Lebanon is a weaker nation, and so it's easy for Israel to demonstrate aggression towards Lebanon and to Hamas. But when it comes to Iran, it's a whole different cookie. So now here's why this is so dangerous. Israel has vowed retaliation. After Iran had, after the Iranian rained down over 200 ballistic missiles. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, tongue twister. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has promised a response that will inflict pain on both Hezbollah and Iran. But the challenge here is that Iran is not like Hamas. Iran is a regional power with advanced military capabilities, including ballistic missiles, and perhaps most concerning, strong alliances with Russia, China, and other BRIC nations. So if Israel strikes back, Iran will not stand idly by. And that's where things get even more complicated. Hezbollah, in many ways, acts as an Iran's arm in the region. And Israeli attack on Hezbollah is essentially an attack on Iran. But Iran is not isolated. It is part of a larger geopolitical framework. one that includes Russia and China, two global powers who are more than capable of supporting Iran militarily and logistically. So we are already seeing signs of this broader alignment. Russia, stretched thin by its war in Ukraine, has the technology and intelligence to aid in Iran. Meanwhile, China may seize the opportunity to move on Taiwan, capitalizing on the global distraction caused by the escalating conflict. Both countries have long been looking for ways to weaken Western influence, and this conflict could provide the perfect opening. Now, if Israel retaliates against Hezbollah and Iran, it is not just a Middle East war or Middle Eastern war. It is a global conflict. The US and Western Europe would almost certainly step in to defend Israel. And on the other side, you would have Russia, China, Iran, and possibly North Korea forming a bloc of opposition. So this is no longer just about Israel and its neighbors. This is about a global powers being drawn into a conflict that could erupt into World War III. Now let us break this down even further. On one side, we have Israel backed by the US, Western Europe, and Japan. And of course, the other side, we have Iran supported by Russia, China, and the broader BRIC nations, which include key players like Brazil and India, and South Africa. And it's not just about military power, it's about global influence, resources, and strategic positioning. A war in the Middle East would involve every major global actor, stretching across continents from Europe to Asia and even Africa. So as we speak, Russia has already positioned its navy near the coast of Cuba, and China has massed troops along the Taiwanese border, preparing for what could be a geopolitical shift of historic proportions. This is a tinderbox waiting to explode, as Israel vows to retaliate and promise to inflict pain. Pain that many in the Arab world feel that Israel is already inflicting upon them, and any more pain would be tantamount to an eruption of cataclysmic proportions. Now, the most critical question right now is, how will Israel respond? An aggressive retaliation could open the floodgates to an all-out war. And if this is where diplomacy must come into play, the US and its allies need to engage with Israel immediately. Not just to coordinate a military response, but to discuss the broader implications of any action that could spark a global conflict. This is a pivotal moment in history. Every decision made in the coming days and weeks will have far-reaching consequences. We are at the edge of a precipice, and the possibility of World War III is more real than ever. But there is still time to avert disaster if world leaders act with caution and foresight. In closing, we are witnessing history in the making, and the outcome will shape the future of global politics. We will see the start of World War III, or will cooler heads prevail and prevent a catastrophe that could engulf the world. Only time will tell. But one thing is certain: the Middle East is no longer just a regional battleground. It is the epicenter of a potential global war. Thank you for joining me on the Neoliberal podcast and YouTube channel. I'm your host, Renaldo McKenzie. I invite you to stay tuned as we continue to bring you the latest updates on this evolving situation and more insights on the issues shaping our world. Please continue to visit us at neoliberal.com and renaldocmckenzie.com. Of course, Renaldo without the Y. And please donate to us by going to anchor.fm/neoliberal/support. And just so you know, we are available on any podcast stream. You can find your stream by going to anchor.fm/neoliberal/support. Anchor.fm/neoliberal. This article again is available. This presentation is available in article form in the Neoliberal Journals, at the Neoliberal Corporation's More Magazine website, neoliberal.com, and also at the Neoliberal Post, renaldocmckenzie.com. Get a copy of my book, Neoliberalism, available at the Neoliberal Bookstore and available at store.neoliberal.com. Walk good.